Hi everyone. Hope everyone's having a great Easter weekend with their family and friends. First of all, I want to say I'm sorry about the appearance. I've been doing yard work all day today and just actually sat down. Today, actually, I wanted to share with everybody a little bit about the tools that I use and also two of the canvases that I was speaking to you about earlier on the previous video that have to do with a little bit more color. This particular one, try to start, okay, so it goes from this end all the way this way. I don't remember the artist. I think it's Melissa Shirley, but I'm not quite sure. That's one of her Easter pieces, and it's one of the ones that I wanted to stitch and just enjoy some different kinds of threads. I have a different one. As you can tell, it's very dangerous for me to go to the needlepoint store, even if it's just to pick up some thread that I'm missing. This is like an English cottage. See if you can see that right there, little English cottage. And this particular one, what attracted to me to it was, again, the colors. It's very bright, very brilliant. This, I believe, is a 13 count mesh. You can tell the holes are a little bit smaller. And for that particular, sorry about that, for that particular canvas, I did actually purchase the threads. And I purchased a variety of threads. One is, like I mentioned before, I do like to stitch with silks. And this, I don't know if you can see it right there, is what's called a vineyard silk. I also have what is called Splendor. Here, oops, let me turn it around so you can see that. There's the Splendor. I have some mandarin floss. This is also a little bit more colorful, little different texture. I do have, oh, what is called? Silk Lame. This is more sparkle. And if anybody knows me, I love sparkle. I mean, there's a lot of different colors in that particular canvas. So it'll be interesting to stitch. I'm not quite sure if I'm going to do the entire thing as a basket weave or if I'm going to incorporate some decorative stitches. Also, before I go any further, I want to make sure that everyone understands that I am not in any way an expert. I've been doing this for 28 years, cross-stitching and now lately the needlepoint. So I'm just basically sharing my experience and how I do things and what I do, the tools that I use, and why I like particular canvases and things like that. But for the most part, I'm not an expert in any way. So another thing I wanted to show everybody is the type of stretchers that I use. Now, granted, I like to have a fairly tight canvas to stitch on. It makes things a lot easier, especially when you're using silk threads. I've tried quite a few different stretcher bars, but the ones at this point that I do use and I totally love are called Evertights. Now, this is a small one. I do have several sizes. And the reasons why I like it is this particular little screw, if you see it right there. So basically what happens is you connect these two sides together. And as you can see, the screws are going to be on the inside. Now what that does, let me see if I can try to get, these are fairly small. If I can get this one in. So there they go. Yeah, they go pretty snug. So if you can see right there, where that little screw is, right in that little hole right there, what that does is, as the canvas starts stretching out, because you're stitching on it, it gets a little bit loose. The tension goes away. But if you have this little tool right here, as you can see this hole, whoops, let me move it over, right there, this goes in, and as you start turning it, see that little screw as it moves? And it'll push, you'll feel the tension, and the screw right here pushes down. What that does is it basically gives tension again to the canvas. The only downside is you got to remember when you're done stitching to take and release the pressure so that you don't stretch your canvas out, and then it becomes too stretchy. So that's the stretcher bars that I use. For the most part, I use thumbtacks. I have started to use the staples. The only thing with staples is I want to make sure when they're removed, it doesn't do any damage to the canvas itself. So far, I've been pretty lucky. It hasn't happened. I only have, I think, 2 canvases that I've actually used staples to hold them onto the stretcher bars. Next tool. These are my favorite little scissors. If you can see, right there, see how they curve ever so slightly right here? They have a really nice tension. I found these at the Needlepoint store, and basically the reason I like them is because if this is your canvas right here and you're going to cut the threads, the curvature of the scissor allows you to get fairly close to the threads, but it won't cut the thread that's either above, below, or to the side. So you can really get in there and cut those little pieces that are always very annoying. At least they're annoying to me. Get those out of the way. Next tool, and it's more of a fun thing for me. So I have what they call, if you can see it right there, see a little puppy dog? This is called a scissor fob, and what it does is it goes right on the scissor itself, and it makes it to where if I lay it down on the table or if I'm putting it on the side, I feel this, and I know that's where my scissors are. So I have this particular one with the little puppy dog, and I have a different one. They're very, the people who do these are very creative. Here's a different one. I thought that was so cool. It's a beautiful beading. I collect them. I have a whole bunch of them. So I do like using those. It does help to find the scissors, and I'm really notorious for putting scissors somewhere and not knowing where they are. 9 out of 10 times they're on my lap, but I don't know where they are. The next item that I like to use, and this one I use periodically. Sometimes I don't necessarily want to use a stand, and I just pretty much want to lay the canvas, especially if it's a bit bigger size canvas. I want to lay it on a table or just secure it in some way. So I use what is called a weight. It says it's all about me. And these are fairly nice. They're stitched. They have like a sand in the inside, and they're very, very heavy. Well, heavy enough to where it will hold the canvas for you. So if you're traveling or something and you want to do some stitching and you don't necessarily have a table stand or a lap stand or even floor stand that you can take with you, you can use these and just put it on the side of the canvas, and it will keep it in place. So it makes it very easy to be able to stitch with 2 hands. I am a 2-handed stitcher. I don't. I have to be able to feel the back of the canvas. Not so much to make sure that everything is neat, but mainly to avoid knots. I hate knots. To avoid the knots, and also to make sure that everything is flowing nice and easily. Because usually once you start stitching, especially the basket weave, it's like you get into a rhythm. And I like to keep that rhythm going, making sure that the threads in the back of the canvas are not going to twist or tie in any way. So I do like to be able to use both hands when I'm stitching. Plus it makes the stitching go a little bit faster and more comfortable for me to do it that way. So there's this guy. And that's pretty much it for this time. I am going to keep updating my videos once a month. I think trying to do it per week is going to be a little bit difficult for me. Next month I'm going to have befores and afters of projects that I have already completed. Some of them are going to be in the cross stitch. I have one that took me 4 years to make. It's huge. Get that particular, so you guys can take a look at that. And also some of the recent projects that I've done in the realm of needlepoint. I'm also going to see if I can take some videos of local needlepoint stores just to give everyone an idea of what they're like. Maybe have a little conversation with the owner. Also, I will be putting on the web or on my YouTube page the address, the web address to Diversions Needlepoint. Again, that's the shop which is local to me that I've done all of my purchases and also where I've taken my classes. Normally the classes are about, I think it's 3 levels. One's introduction, intermediate, and advanced. Beyond the advanced, you go into the embellishment, And that particular class I've taken twice. Again, I think I mentioned his name before. Tony Maneri's the artist that takes the canvas and gets these stitches from I don't know where, and gives you a stitch guide, sits down, and he shows you how to do these very intricate stitches at some point. But once the design is done, it's a piece of artwork. It really is. I also will be sharing with everyone some of the canvases that I own. I've got canvases that are kitted, meaning that they have their threads. I have the stretcher bars, and they're basically ready to be stitched. I also have canvases that are not kitted yet. They're basically just, the canvas. I do have a large stash, and I don't see it as that a bad thing. Like I was talking to Carolyn, they are pieces of artwork, and I feel very nice. I feel very fuzzy when I look at them because they are beautiful. And I do feel that I'm privileged that I can have them. And at some point before I croak, I will be able to stitch them and have someone else enjoy them as well as much as I do. So I also wanted to say thank you for everyone who subscribed. That is very nice of you. And yeah, if you guys have any questions or comments or anything like that, please go ahead and post something, and I will definitely get back to you. Other than that, again, I hope you guys had a great weekend. Happy stitching!